Good morning. Welcome. Today is Saturday, April 18th. How's it going? My name is Angela. I am a front-end developer and a software engineer in St. Paul, Minnesota. And we are smack dab in the middle. Hang on. Smack dab in the middle of the 30 days of vanilla JavaScript. This is where I'm going live every day in April to just work on my own JavaScript skills. So if you are new here and you're interested, let me go ahead and put the link in the chat. We have such a good day. I have a good day planned today. I'm pretty excited about what we have going on, especially because the last couple of days kind of kicked my ass. We spent 2 days working on this thing called a sortable table. And I do need to, if you visit this link, it's day 16. I'm not done with the styles. I want to add some arrows that pop up or down for ascending or descending. And also this is not responsive yet. So if you're looking on a mobile device, it's not responsive yet. I need to implement those styles. I just haven't gotten to it yet because this task, this project took 2 days. Nothing so far has taken 2 days. So, and I still needed the final solution from ChatGPT. I really tried my best. It was a tough one. I will say that I went into this project being thoroughly confused with the difference between sorting a column and sorting a row, because what you do here is you sort the rows, right? And that's not what my mindset was going into it. I was like, oh, we click on a column header, we sort the column. No, you sort the rows. So I will say that finally does make sense to me. The logic, maybe it would be easier for some people. For me, it was really complex. I learned a lot doing it. Even though I had to get the final solution from ChatGPT, I still learned a lot doing it, but it was tough. It was a tough one. So there's that. Today we have something a lot more fun. Today we're going to do loading YouTube videos on click. I'm super excited about this one because this is something that early in my career, before I even had a career as a front-end developer, just early, like in my journey of learning front-end development, I was obsessed with video galleries. I wanted to make video galleries. I wanted to do it efficiently. I learned also very early that you cannot just embed a bunch of YouTube iframes on a page. That is wildly inefficient. Wildly inefficient and weighs down the page. Excuse me, one moment. Ooh, little frog in my throat. Sorry about that. That wasn't very ladylike, was it? What was I saying? Oh, just that I've been obsessed with videos and loading videos on pages for a long time. It's still very much a thing in front-end development. We did it all the time at St. Thomas, and we also recently did responsivevideogallery.com. This was the first, I guess, open source project that I ever worked on. I did this before, or the first version of this rather, I did before I even had a job as a developer. And a couple months ago, we rebuilt this. I originally built it with jQuery and a plugin called FancyBox. I mean, I think Fancy Box is still a thing, right? Fancy Box jQuery. Yeah. And I think now it's not it's not jQuery anymore. So I think even this has been redone, and clearly this page for sure has been redesigned. So, well, anyways, we redid responsive video gallery just with all vanilla JavaScript, and I learned a ton. And then, of course, in the last 2 weeks, just going through all of these exercises, I was thinking the other night, because I didn't have this on the list of things to do, I was thinking a couple nights ago, I was like, the thing I've always wanted to know how to do and I didn't quite know how to do was just load the page with a thumbnail, click the thumbnail, and load the video in place. I've never known how, it seems crazy to say that, I've never known how to do that. And then suddenly, after the last 2 weeks, I knew exactly how to do it. I knew it was like, I knew how to do it to the point where I was like, this is trivial. Once you understand creating elements, removing elements, and putting them, you know, appending in the DOM or insert adjacent, whatever you want to use, it's trivial once you understand a few core basic things about JavaScript. So that was a cool feeling to have that sort of that light bulb moment. So we're going to build this in a way today that is really modular. And here's what I want to do. Let me show you what I would like to do. Oh, that's not what I want. Here's what I would like to do. So I'm behind, shocker, I'm behind on editing. I'm taking each of these project live streams and editing them down to focused project videos. So really I'm editing out stuff like this where I'm just talking, or maybe where I'm interacting with the chat. And as I continue to get these edited, I will post them as separate project videos, but we have 2 ready to go. So let's go ahead and get basically our prototype built. And then we'll go ahead and add the first 2 videos to the first 2 pages. We'll put a section here and add that video. So again, it's going to be really modular. Yeah, and it's definitely not going to be the struggle session that we encountered the last couple of days. So there's that. All right, let me say hello to a couple of folks in the chat. Osloy is here. He says, I'm sick today. I'm watching from my phone in bed. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Get better, feel better. Nano Akia is also here. Our friend, I think in the UK, I'm pretty sure Nano Akia is in the UK. Gogo Elmo is here. Welcome all. Let's have a calm day today. Sometimes, Malik, maybe I'm misinterpreting this. I think sometimes Malik gets a little alarmed when I start dropping F-bombs. So, but here's the thing. I can't not say how I'm feeling. I can't do it. I am capable of regulating my emotions in when it's appropriate, when I'm in a professional setting, for example, or out in public. Of course, I'm capable of regulating my emotions, but here on stream, there's no HR department. And if I'm angry or upset about something, I will express those feelings. And I'm not going to worry about offending people, because I'm just not going to. I'm very much a feel the feelings person, get them out and move on. And that's what I do. So, okay, let's get started. Let's get our markup figured out first and write our styles. That is what I would like to do first. And then we know exactly what elements we're creating and handling with our JavaScript. And also I want to get our styles nailed down also. So we have a couple ways to do this. We could make this a component that relies on a full section with a title, or we could make this a component that just relies on the figure tag. And I'm honestly leaning more towards the figure tag because I think that is just a bit of a simpler approach. So that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to do a figure tag, and then in the figure tag, I want to do a data attribute called data video. And this is where we're going to put the ID of the video, because the iframe embed URL, the iframe embed URL is consistent when it comes to pulling the thumbnail, because that's what we're going to load. Is we're going to load the thumbnail for the video directly from YouTube, and then on click we're going to load the iframe, and it's just a matter of swapping out that data ID. So you could put this anywhere on your site, put in the correct ID of the video, and boom, the JavaScript does all the work for us, which is pretty cool. So I'm thinking, I think also that we want to do like a class, because we use figure, class, figure all the time. So let's make sure that we're scoping to the figure tag. Let's make sure also that we have a fallback image. Let's make sure also that we have a fallback image. And I think that we should have a caption that has our video title, but is, well, I mean, we could style the caption. We could style the caption to make sure it's included. Yeah, let's do that. Let's style the caption. I think you could hide the caption or keep the caption. So let's do that. So this will be caption class. I guess I'll just say caption. I think it has to be fig caption. Wait a second. MDN caption, or do we want fig caption? Yeah, captions for a table component. So we probably want fig caption. And Malik says, more if the enjoyment is taken out of the task, that may mean less streams. Osloy said, oh, I think, so Malik, are you saying that you would not want to, it would be harder, you would be more alarmed if I was so upset that the task wasn't enjoyable anymore? Is that how I'm interpreting that? Also, hopefully you guys know that I'm not really that mad. I'm frustrated in the moment, genuinely, but also, and Oslo has a good point here, and he's not wrong. Expressing yourself might be better for channel viewership. Listen, I know what people like to see because I know what I like to see. And I like it when people express themselves. It's interesting. You get to see their personalities, right? And Malik says it is relatable too. Yeah, totally. I think what I experienced the last couple of days absolutely mirrors the developer experience when it comes to how frustrating this can be. So, okay, so we do want a fig caption. I have to think about this for a second. Okay, I didn't do this in my last example, so we'll definitely do a fig caption. That means that we need to put a container around the image for styling, which is just fine. It means I can't rely on this div. So we'll just call this the YouTube video container. So basically, this is the markup that you would add to your page. We'll put in a fallback image with alt text, and then, and you could do those things yourself, and then you would just go ahead and add the ID of the video here, and then you would be able to put this on any page, and you would have a video that pulls a thumbnail from YouTube, and that on click loads the iframe embed. That's what we're going to do. And that's what I want to be able to do then as I finish editing the project videos and getting them posted to YouTube. I just want to take this markup, go ahead and add it right to my add it right to my pages, the project pages, the daily project pages, and then swap out the ID, and boom, we have a video. So keeping it modular, right? So what video do we want to use to get started? What's our example video? Okay, this is going to be our example video right here. I love this video because it's a time lapse of me building navigation. The internet did not love this video as much as I did, but I thought it was amazing. And you know, here's the thing about making videos that nobody really watches. I can continue to make those videos as often as I want until some people finally watch. That's what I discovered, or that's the revelation that I had, because I would work really, really hard on things and they wouldn't get a lot of views. And I was like, you know what? That's cool. If nobody watches it, I can just keep making that type of video as often as I want. How is that any different than one of the gajillion channels devoted to TikTok reactions, where they just, every video is the same set of reactions? It's like, especially when they're really niche, like maybe they're always reacting to, like there's this one guy I watch, you guys might like this actually. YouTube, his name is Michael, hang on, Michael Chipman. I mean, it's kind of a smaller channel, but his entire niche is that he reacts to TikTok videos of people who are making bad financial decisions related to the cars that they buy. So it's not, so he will occasionally mix in just like somebody who maybe is in a lot of debt, like consumer debt, but it's mostly focused on the car dealerships who are posting to TikTok the horrible financial decisions that people are making, and then he does a reaction to their, it's, I don't know. So if you're ever going to start a YouTube channel and you're just like, you have an idea, you have no idea how, the more niche you are, it's like the more niche you are, the better. I bet I could make a video every single week showing people how to make responsive navigation. I could probably build a whole channel off of that. I mean, I don't know, maybe I could. Or maybe I could do a whole channel on time-lapse UIs. I don't know. But anytime I get frustrated after working on something that nobody really watches, I'm like, no prob, Bob. I can just continue to make that style of video over and over and over again till somebody finally watches it. Why not, right? Where was I going with this point? I don't know. I have no idea. But yeah, so anyways, so that's the ID of the video that we're going to load on this example page. Malik says, oh, he says, no, if you get too upset, you may want to stream less. It'll never happen. I'll always, I have no interest in streaming less, especially now that I'm monetized, and I will always default to stream more and just drop as many F-bombs on stream as I need to get out of my system in order to move forward. So anyways, okay. So I do want to put in the fig caption, this is important. The fig caption is, there's a couple different ways to handle, there's an attribute, we'll see this when we get to the iframe, called title. And let's take a look at that. I'm gonna put the title of the video in the fig caption, but let's look, if we go to share and we go to embed, let's grab this code and we'll just take a look here at what is actually in this. So you can kind of see where I'm going. So here's the iframe. There's a width and a height attribute. I'm actually going to leave those out because I'm going to do all that myself with styling. And then there's a title attribute. There's a frame border attribute. There's an allow attribute. And then there's allow full screen attribute. So these are the attributes that we have to create with our JavaScript. I'm actually also going to leave out frame border. It's deprecated. YouTube includes it because they're trying to do backwards compatibility support for old browsers, things like that. But I'm building for modern browsers. I'm not going to worry about it, so we are going to leave that out. Here's the thing, though, that I tend to question. This is the title attribute, which is really important for accessibility. YouTube, I would think that YouTube would put the title of the video in here, but they put in YouTube video player, which makes me wonder, is title meant to be a description of what the iframe is or the title of the video? That could simplify this. Let's ask. MDN. First, let's look at the documentation. MDN iframe title. Okay. People navigating with assistive technology such as a screen reader can use the title attribute on an iframe to label its content. The title's value should concisely describe the embedded content. Without this title, they have to navigate into the iframe to determine what its embedded content is. This context shift can be confusing and time-consuming, especially for pages with multiple iframes and or embeds, and or if embeds contain interactive content like video or audio. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to include a fig caption that has the video title because we're not tapping into the iframe API here. So I can't grab the title of the video just using the video ID. I can't do that. So I'm going to grab it from the fig caption, but let's put in a fallback, a condition that says if there's no fig caption, the fallback text for the title would be YouTube video player. So if people want to do this on their own site, they could leave out the fig caption. I like putting in the title of the video. Is that the right thing to do, though? Are we describing? See, this title says Wikipedia page for avocados. Let's ask our friend. Let's just ask our friend. Okay. Should the title attribute of a YouTube iframe embed be the title of the video or a description of what the iframe actually is? Yeah, use the video's title. For an iframe, the title attribute is there for accessibility, mainly screen readers. Okay, that's what I thought. So it should describe the content of the embedded frame, not the technical container. In the case of a YouTube embed, the content is the video. So the best, most accurate label is the video's actual title. It's so interesting to me that YouTube then doesn't put the title. They don't dynamically put the title of the video into that. Am I the only one that thinks that's weird? See, that's the whole reason I questioned that reasoning. So anyhow, moving on. In the case of a YouTube embed, the content is the video, so the best, most accurate label is the video's actual title. Not ideal. YouTube video player. Too generic. Doesn't help anyone understand what's inside. Describes the element, not the content. Not useful. Okay, how does YouTube know? How does ChatGPT know what I'm doing in VS Code? Okay, mental model. Okay, why doesn't YouTube use the title when they generate the embed iframe? Just curious. It's the reason I even questioned it. YouTube is optimizing for scale, not perfection. They could include the video title, but there are a few practical reasons they don't. The embed code is static, the video data is dynamic. When you click share embed, YouTube gives you a dumb snippet. That snippet works anywhere, no extra API calls, no dependencies. If they inject the actual title, they'd have to fetch it at generation time or keep it in sync if the title changes later. They've basically chosen simple plus reliable over perfectly accurate. Titles change a lot. I actually know this firsthand because I tinker with my titles a lot sometimes too. Creators constantly tweak titles for SEO. If YouTube baked the title into the iframe, your embed could become outdated immediately. That's a really good point. Now you've got mismatches between the page and the video. From their perspective, a generic label avoids that inconsistency. Most people never touch the embed code. Blunt reality, the vast majority of embeds are pasted into CMS editors, WordPress blocks, and site builders, and nobody edits them. So YouTube optimizes for works everywhere, requires zero thought. Accessibility polish, like a meaningful title, just isn't their priority there. Interesting. Accessibility is handled. I did not expect this type of an answer. I felt like my question was rhetorical, so this is good information. Accessibility is handled elsewhere in their ecosystem. On YouTube itself, they control everything. ARIA labels controls captions, structured data. The iframe embed is more like, here's a portable video box. Good luck out there. Liability and edge cases. Imagine private videos, deleted videos, region locked content, embeds with parameters, start times, playlists, etc. A static YouTube video player avoids weird mismatches like title says X but video is unavailable. The real takeaway, they're not wrong, it's just minimal. But for your use case, custom UI, intentional UX, accessibility aware builds, you're absolutely right to override it. What you're doing is actually better than default YouTube. We're not lazy loading the iframe. ChatGPT keeps telling me lazy load the iframe. Why? We're not loading it on page load, we're loading it on click. So I'm not doing that. Control the UX, provide a meaningful title. That's already a more thoughtful implementation than most of the internet. If anything, this is one of those subtle signals that separates I pasted an embed from I built a UI around this. Okay. And Nano Kia says branding. Yeah, I think branding is also a good point. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a fig caption into my module, and we're going to put in a fallback. So if somebody chooses to use this code and they're not going to put in fig captions for whatever reason, we have a fallback that if the fig caption doesn't exist, a title YouTube video player goes in its place. So we'll just make sure that we're accounting for that in our JavaScript. So this is what we're going to be building. Let's make sure that we have a fallback image. And then the thumbnail, the alt text for the thumbnail is not going to change, and it is going to be a little bit generic. So the alt text I'm going to put in is going to be YouTube video thumbnail. And it is intentionally generic and not particularly descriptive. Yeah, Osley has a good point. I think loading on click is lazy in this context. I agree. I agree. And ChatGPT, when I was having other conversations about the best way to structure this, kept insisting that I do it because it was what's the phrase it was using? It was not trivial, but that it didn't hurt anything to include it, even though it was meaningless. And I'm just like, okay, if it's meaningless, then why do I have to include something that I know is meaningless? I just couldn't get past that. So I am not going to include it. In fact, I sort of brought up the point of, if anything, let's put lazy loading on the image. And ChatGPT was like, well, actually, browsers already do a really good job of rendering images and like lazy loading and things like that. Like, don't put it on the image. And that just seems counterintuitive to me. So we're not using lazy loading. We're just not going to worry about it. Oh, Nano Kia has a pretty good point here. This is so interesting. It's such a good point, too. If you are looking for good web examples or accessibility examples, never look to a FANG company. Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Okay, let's get a fallback image in here. This is the image that's going to load if for some reason our JavaScript fails. We don't want the container to collapse, right? We still want there to be something in there. Do I even have images on this site? I have screen. What's this? That's my big face, my big head. Let's grab a fallback image. It's not going to be anything fancy. Give me a moment here. I'll find something. Just, like a pretty picture of a mountain, right? Scenery. Doesn't have to be crazy. Let me grab something. Hopefully that is already optimized somewhat. Yes, I have a whole folder of optimized images. Let me find one that I like. One that I like that isn't too girly. Well, how do we feel about a cute picture of Heidi? I feel really good about that. All right. So, okay, so I think what we're also going to have to do then is it's probably going to be better to include alt text that matches the fallback image, and we can swap it out for a YouTube thumbnail alt text. I mean, why not? It's just an attribute like everything else, right? So here's going to be our fallback image. And it's pretty well optimized. It is, let me tell you, 166K. So that's plenty good. Plenty optimized. So okay. So this will be which is Heidi the Sheltie. Heidi the Sheltie looking out the window. Okay. Here's the other thing that we need. We need an SVG. We need our play button. Where did I put this? Oh, I put it in a completely different folder. That's okay. Second time's a charm. Okay, here we go. And this is just going, this is going right into our markup. I'm not gonna, oh gosh darn it. It's just going right into our markup. I'm not gonna create this element or put it in with inner HTML. So make sure this is aria hidden true, and then it doesn't look like we have any inline stroke or fill to worry about, so we'll be able to style that pretty easily. Now we have a container where the image is going to be swapped out with the iframe, and we have an SVG which will be absolutely positioned, and we'll have a fig caption that will also show the title. Yeah, this is a good system. Then we just have this little module here that we would copy and paste onto other pages, and this little data video attribute is going to do all the work. Well, the data video attribute, and then if you choose to include the fig caption with the actual title of the video, that will update the title attribute once the video gets updated. So there's that. Okay, let's get this little guy styled. Zoom out a tiny bit. And how do we look so far? Beautiful. Perfect. Exactly what we want. Here's our content. There, right there. It's a little bigger. Okay, let's style this. This is load video. Load video on click. Gosh darn it. That's the Minnesotan in me. Okay, so our figure is going to be kind of like our parent container. I actually don't think that we need to do all that much to our parent container because it's really this div that's going to get most of the styling. So here's our video container, and I'm going to style this with aspect ratio. It'll be that nice 16:9. So the width will be 100%. Whoops. The height will be auto. We should also make this, we're going to make it position relative because we need that to style the SVG. And we're going to make the aspect ratio 16:9. Oops. And then let's get that SVG position absolute right away so it doesn't interfere with anything. So this will be the YouTube video container SVG. Position absolute. I'm going to say top 50%, left 50%. We'll do transform, translate negative 50% and negative 50% on the XY axis. So that'll put it right in the middle. And then YouTube video container. Oops. The image is also going to be, actually, I don't think the image needs to be absolutely positioned. Just width 100%, height 100%, object fit or object fit cover. Should put it right in the middle. There we go. Look at that. We don't even need to do anything to our fig caption. I'm completely fine with the default browser styles of the fig caption. Our play button is only red. That's a coincidence. It's only red because of how I did my global styles. Actually let's style this right now. And then what do we want to have happen on hover? I kind of want to do like a little zoom on hover. That's what I think I want to do. And I also like the size of the SVG. It's got the tap target 48 by 48, so we're good there. I think I'm going to just make it white. And then let's just do a little zoom. What's that? Scale, right? We'll do a scale. And so we're going to want to do that on the container. The hover should be on the container, I think, not the figure. So we'll do it on the container. So let's do transform. What is it? Scale 1, right? I think so. And then it would be focus, hover, active, we want to transform the scale like what, 1.1, and then we'll transition that. "300 milliseconds, ease in, out." That's the timing that I prefer. And then we have to make sure that we're hiding that overflow. Whoops. Where does the overflow hidden go? Here? Hang on. It's on the container, right? Maybe on the figure? The overflow hidden should be on the container. How am I not remembering that correctly? There we go. Yeah, no, I don't want it on the figure because it's covering up my fig caption. Why is that not working on this container? Does it need to be on both? Maybe it's because we need to scale the image, not the container. That's why. Yeah, we need to scale the image, not the container. Okay, disregard. So we want to do this on the image. So when we hover active focus on the container, we scale the image. That's what we're doing. So the overflow hidden is on the container. Yeah, so let's move this down. Hang on, I got this. So the transform is going to be when we hover on the container, we trigger the image. And then this all happens on the image. And then the overflow hidden is on the container. So overflow hidden on the container. And then when we hover, focus hover active on the container, we scale the image. There we go. That's what I wanted. And I'm not going to change the cursor. No, I mean, should we change the cursor? What are they clicking? What are they clicking? Are they clicking the container to load the video, or are they clicking the SVG to load the video? That's a good point. Because I forgot to put this in a button. This should be in a button, right? The click event should be on the button because it needs to get focus. Yeah. Angela, come on. Get your act together. So this is going to be play button. And we need an ARIA label of play video. What else do we need? Play button, play video. So that means that our button, it's not this, it's the button. So it's the play button. And then the button will get focus. But the cursor won't change until we get to the button. I don't know, is that bad UX to have that transform? You're not going to be able to click on it. That might not be very good UX to do that. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't seem like that's very good UX to do that. To have that transition but not have anything, but not do anything unless you actually click the button. Yeah. Oh well. That's fine. Okay. So then we really just want a transition on our play button. Yeah. So maybe we can scale our play button instead. Let's do that. So our play button is the SVG. So let's change our fill. And we'll make this white. And then we can do a transform, scale, transition the transform, 300 milliseconds, ease in, out, and then we will do our focus hover active for the play button. And we will transform this, scale 1.1, and let's see how that looks. Oh, play button SVG. So we're just scaling the SVG. Oh, Angela, what are you doing? Hang on, gotta separate these. The button and the SVG are separate. There. So here's the button positioned absolutely over the image, the container. And then here's the SVG. We're changing the fill. We're going to scale it on hover. Here's our transition. And then when we hover over the button, we trigger the scale, the transform of the SVG. Look at that. That works. I mean, we could make it bigger, but I think it's okay. So here's 100%. It's big enough. It meets accessibility requirements. We could make it bigger. The button can be any size. It's just going to be whatever size the SVG is, because we're not specifying a width or a height on the button, right? So the size is controlled by the SVG. So we could go upper rem. Five looks pretty good, actually. So that makes a nice tap target, 80 by 80 pixels. 48 by 48 pixels is the minimum tap target for a UI element that relies on a tap target. I love it. So this will be our fallback image. So if something happens, the JavaScript fails, or somebody has JavaScript turned off, this will be the fallback image. Maybe we would want to have a message in there too. Do we want to have some sort of message that says like JavaScript is required to load this video, something like that? Like a little error message? I don't know. I mean, we know how to deal with that too, right? Class, error, message. JavaScript is required to load this video. And so maybe this by default is hidden. By the way, the hidden attribute is magical. How did I not know about the hidden attribute? Functionally, it is the exact same thing as display none, but in dealing with these creating elements and hiding and showing things, it's so incredible. I love it. It just comes in so darn handy. So how would that look without it? JavaScript is required to load this video. Perfect. So if something happens, well, maybe we want to say something like error, maybe just error loading video is a better thing. Error loading video. Error loading video. Yeah, I think that's better. Because we don't know why it didn't load, right? Okay, so we'll take care of that too. I like it. All right, let's do the thing. Do I have? Yep, load video. Okay. Init, load video. So first, I'm going to make the figure the root element. And YouTube video. is going to be the class, the query selector. So if our class, if our container isn't there, then we should return. Next. I'm thinking. So normally what I would do is, no, I think it's okay to build something where you have as much markup as possible. Like here's the thing that I'm sort of thinking about. So now I'm getting comfortable with this process, right, of creating elements and appending them to a page and removing things, either removing them, hiding them, whatever. I'm getting very comfortable with that process, setting attributes, things like that. Now I'm thinking more strategically about what am I creating versus creating and appending versus what can actually live on the page on load, what can actually be in the markup, right? Because I think that up until now, I've been very clear about the fact that if it can be in the markup, it should just be in the markup, and it doesn't necessarily need to be injected with JavaScript. Okay, obviously I wasn't very good at JavaScript before, or just not as comfortable with it as I've gotten over the last couple of weeks. Now that I'm getting really comfortable, I don't want to go full swing to the other side and create every single element. I still build static websites with some dynamic functionality. These are still static websites. I still believe in that. I still believe in having well optimized pages, and I believe that if it can live in the markup, it should live in the markup. So I don't want to get away from that, but I'm just trying to find now the balance between what should exist on the page on page load and what JavaScript can do. So I do think that this is still a good modular thing to have on pages, that you could copy and paste this into any page and only do one or two things. At a minimum, you could leave out the fig caption and you could just update your data video ID attribute. And then as long as you have a fallback image in, you're golden. You're good to go. Just update your attribute and you could pop this, copy and paste it onto any page and you'd be just fine. Or you could include the fig caption and then we'll include logic for the title, right? The title attribute. I guess you could go all the way to the other side where you even create these elements and load these elements as part of the script. But why do that? If something happens and your JavaScript fails, if something happens, the user has JavaScript turned off for some reason, I don't know, people do that, right? You at least at a minimum still have these things loading, right? I think so. Yeah, I think so. Okay, yeah, I guess I just needed to talk that out. So, okay, back to it. I think my point is this. I still build static websites and I still like my approach in building static websites. And I just want to explain my decision making, but I also think that if somebody came along and was like, gosh, I could use this and I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I can just use this here, which is which is great. Do it, please. That's why I'm creating all these things. But I'm going to create all of these things dynamically. Sure, go ahead. Do it. Do it. This is my approach, though. So, okay. Let's keep going. Okay, so let's get our, I don't actually think that, put this over here. So here's our example. Just grab this. Let's put this down here. There we go. Okay, so here's our example of what we need. What's the first thing that we're going to do? Well, I think the first thing that we have to do is on page load, we have to swap out the thumbnail and the alt text. So that's the absolute first thing that we need to do. So I'm going to say const thumb equals root query selector. And I don't really have, I think I'm just going to do, I don't really have a class here, so we probably should just put a class here. So we'll just say YouTube thumb. And I think all we want to do is, can't we just say thumb source equals, and then let's grab the URL for a thumbnail, and I'm going to grab that from our responsive video gallery, which is, well, it's actually right here. It's a little bigger. So here's the kind of standard thumbnail URL from YouTube. All we're doing is swapping out that ID. So let's do, I think we also need to get our attribute, right? So let's get the video ID equals the root dataset video, root dataset video, and then this, the thumbnail source then would be this swapped out for the ID, right? Video ID. And then we would probably also want to get our fig caption text. So let's grab that. So our const, this is our fig caption equals the root query selector. I think we could just say fig caption. This would be the fig cap text is equal to the fig cap text content, right? So then we would update the thumbnail source or the thumbnail alt text. I think we could update the thumbnail alt text also to the fig caption text. So this would all happen on page load. There it is. It's not a very good resolution, is it? But we are getting our thumbnail. Do we need to update our, we might need to update our resolution. There's other URLs, so let's check and see what the other resolutions are. And it's also updating our alt text. So this all is what's happening on page load. So far, so good. Okay. Yeah, what are our other options? So MQ default, I think there's also HQ default. That's a little better. What are the options? Hang on, let's Google this. List of YouTube thumbnail URLs, URL resolutions. There is like a really, I don't know, famous, well-visited Stack Overflow article that has them. YouTube thumbnail URLs, all sizes and paths. That was too fancy. Default. I feel like default is really small. There's 1, 2, 3. There's the SD quality, SD default. Here's the high quality default, but it's pretty small. MQ default, medium quality. And the max res. Let's try max res, and we'll see what the page load is. That looks the best for sure. Let's see how big this actually is in our network tab. You know what? 143K. We're gonna go with max res. That looks great. Just like that. Great. So now we're getting our thumbnail directly from YouTube. Awesome. Let's keep going. So now we're going to create the elements, the iframe. So let's call it iframe equals, well, no, it's iframe equals document create element. And we're going to create an iframe. And then we're going to create these attributes. So it'll be iframe source equals this. And then, well, actually, not this. I don't know why it always appends that. We don't need that. And then this is going to be the video ID. Okay, and then our title, iframe title, is going to be our fig cap text, right? Is equal to the fig cap text. I'm going to leave out iframe or frame border, but I'm going to put in frame allow. Whoops. Frame allow is equal to, and this will be a string. We're just going to grab this right here. That's not going to change. iframe refer policy, also going to be a string. And then iframe, allow full screen, equal to true. How much more beautiful is this than having to do all those set attributes? I love it. Okay, and then what was the other thing I was going to do? I don't remember. Okay, we also need to get our button because that's the thing that we click on. So let's get that because everything needs to be inside of a click event. So here's our button. We'll call it the play button. Equals root, query selector, and I think this is just play button. Yep, play button. And then we're going to do play button, add event listener, click. And I'm going to put all of these things right inside. And then we are appending, well, we're doing a couple things, right? So we are removing the image and we are I guess we're appending, right? It wouldn't even matter if the image came second or the button. We would probably want the button to come first, right? Do iframes get focused by default? I don't know. I don't think so. But we would probably want the image to come second because we would want the button to come first. So we would remove the image and we would append the iframe to this container, which is exactly what we want. Yeah, and we can have the image come second. That's better. So we create these things and then we would say, what do we want to do first? I think we want to we also need to define this if we're going to append to it. Video container equals the root query selector, just like that. And then we would video container append the iframe and then thumbnail remove. Right? So let's put some comments in here. Create the iframe and set attributes. So we want to create these things on click, right? We don't want to do this before the click. I think so. And then append the iframe to the container. Remove the thumbnail. Why did VS Code do that? Why is VS Code doing that to the event listener? I don't understand. Oh, because I put the click inside. That's why. Okay, I just didn't understand why. Okay. So when we click the play button, we're going to create the iframe, and the iframe will probably need some more styles. Maybe we should add a class to the iframe so we can target it a little better. We could do that. Iframe, class list, add, we'll call it the YouTube iframe. So we can add some class. We've got a class, so now we can style it. We're definitely going to need to. But for the most part, I think it's going to sit right in that container actually pretty well. We'll see. I took out the width and the height, so anything could happen before we actually get some styles in there. Okay, let's see what happens. Yeah, we definitely need to style it, but hey. Yeah, and then we're not going to do anything. It only goes back on page load. We're not going to do anything else. I honestly don't care about storing, like if you pause, so if you play the video and then you pause, or I'm not going to store anything related to where you are in the timeline of this video in local storage, nothing like that. It doesn't need to be that complicated. And then on page load, it just goes back to its original state. So let's go ahead and style this. It's not going to be that different. So here it is. Let's see here. Whoops, got a little outside of our iframe. Here it is. So here's our iframe. Let's look at our markup. Here's our class, here's our source, here's our title, here's our allow, refer policy, allow full screen. And then, so let's style this, and then let's make sure that we have also a fallback for if the fig caption doesn't exist. That's the other thing that we need to do, that we just put in some default text for the title, right? Yeah, we'll definitely want to make sure that we're checking for this. If there's no fig cap, well, we don't want to return because we don't want the whole thing to fail, right? So we're just only going to get that text if there's no fig caption. If no fig caption, just skip it. And then we'll do that here, right? So if no fig caption, well, if there's a fig caption, this else iframe title equals what do they put in? YouTube video player. We'll just put in their default. Yeah, beautiful. I'm sure this could be condensed, but I kind of like this. I'm good. I'm good with that. And then I think we also, no, we're swapping out the alt text. We probably want to do a if statement for this too. If. Well, not no. So basically, if there's no fig caption, no, we're going to want to put in something generic. So thumb alt equals, we'll just say YouTube thumbnail image. Yeah, I'm good with that. I love it. All right. Whoops, what did I break? Did I miss something? Oh, if. Oh, we have to do, I think we have to do this. Right? There we go. All right. Styles. So now we want to style our, well, I guess we don't need that. Now we want to style our iframe. Oh, and we need to remove the button also. Here's our container. So let's remove the button also. And then we need to make sure that there's a fallback for the error message. So we're going to remove the thumbnail and then the button. The play button is also going to be removed. There we go. Yep, Osloy saw it too. So we always get there eventually, don't we? Okay. Remove the thumbnail and play button. All right. All right, styles. So here's our there we go. Beautiful. Here's our iframe. So the YouTube iframe. Let's do this right here. YouTube iframe. I'm going to say border, none, width 100%, height, height 100%, object fit cover, and I think that'll cover it because we know that they have the aspect ratio of 16:9. So there. Oh, here's the other thing that we're going to do. Since it's on page load, we can autoplay the video without muting the video. Normally, you can only autoplay a video on page load if it's muted. Since this is since it's a click event, not page load, we can autoplay the video without muting it. That is allowed. The browser will allow that. So that is what we're going to do. So I think in order to do that, we just say autoplay equals 1. I think that's the way you do it. Autoplay equals 1. So we just put an endpoint here. Let's try it. Yeah. I love it. Probably can't hear it. This is going to sound crazy, but I have wondered for such a long time how to do this. I love it. I don't know. Am I supposed to try to do like a smoother transition? This is the only thing I care about. I don't care about saving their where they are. It doesn't, none of that matters to me. I don't think that that's actually important. Let's see what else we can do here. So here's the JavaScript focus. Reading data attributes, done. Building dynamic URLs, done. Creating elements, yes. Setting attributes, yes. Replacing DOM nodes. Handling click events. Preventing duplicate actions. We prevent the duplicate actions, I think, by removing the button. So that's the preventing duplicate actions. Add a play button overlay, yes. Include accessible text, play video. So yeah, our button has an ARIA label, play video. Support keyboard activation. We'll do that next, so we'll practice that. Fade transition between thumbnail and iframe. I am not sure how to do that. Support aspect ratio containers so the layout doesn't jump. So we did that. Optionally pause other videos when one is open. Advanced, optional. I'm not doing that. I don't care. Although I do think it's worth mentioning that if you had multiple videos per page, this line right here would be query selector all, and you would just for each through those. I'm not going to do that, but let's put a note here. We'll just put a note here. If multiple videos per page, use query selector all and for each through the video containers, right? Get the video ID from the data video attribute. Get the video ID from the data video attribute. If no fig caption, just skip it. So this is on page load. On page load, load the YouTube thumbnail and replace the fallback image. Fallback image and alt text. Get the play button. When clicking the play button, ... What do we think? I love it. I love it. Okay, so what's the error? If the video so at what point is there an error since we put in this error? Do we need an error? Error loading video. I feel like the error would be, what would it be? Just that the source doesn't load. So let's say we click the play button, the source for whatever reason, which comes from YouTube, doesn't load. I mean, it's not that the source wouldn't get replaced, because the source would get replaced, but if the video's not playing, how do we know if the video's, well, how do we know if the video is fully loaded? Is that something that we even need to worry about? Because I don't have a way to know if the video, because the iframe could get created with the thumbnail, and we wouldn't know that the video didn't work until you actually clicked on the YouTube, until you actually clicked the play. So you know what? We're not going to worry about an error message, because I think that is beyond the scope of what this is. I don't know. We would have to click here, and then this would have to not work. And don't I have to get like a response back from YouTube? And in order to do that, don't I have to be like tapped into the API to get the response to show the error message? So I'm choosing not to worry about that. I'm deciding that that's beyond the scope. Yeah, I'm deciding that. Maybe that's for somebody with more brain cells than me to figure out. Okay. So I think the final thing that we need to do is support fade transition between the thumbnail and iframe. How would I do that with JavaScript? How would I do that with JavaScript? I have no idea. I know how to do that with CSS. Oh, maybe, do we use set timeout? So if I did a, so here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that I do a set timeout of maybe like 500 milliseconds. And then I can use a CSS transition to remove those things. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we could do, nope, that's set interval. We want a set timeout of 500 milliseconds. You tell me if you think this is overcomplicating something. Stop. Okay. But before we remove it, we add a class to the thumbnail. Thumb class list add. And the thumbnail is YouTube thumb. It's the image. So we would remove the button immediately to prevent multiple clicks, but we would add a class to the thumbnail where as soon as this class showed up, I did a CSS transition to fade the opacity. All the while in the background, we are immediately loading the iframe. So I do want to immediately remove the button to prevent multiple clicks. And I'm going to add we'll call it YouTube fade is the class I'm going to add. And then we'll make our fade transition for the opacity 500 milliseconds. No, we could do it 300 milliseconds. We could do 300. We'll play with the timing. We'll play with the timing. So we immediately append the iframe. Oh, you know what we might have to do though? Is we might have to absolutely position these, because I bet if we delay removing the thumbnail, this is immediately going to get loaded beneath it. That's my prediction. So we're going to have to absolutely position those. Oh, and it didn't even remove those. Why didn't that move? Why didn't that work? Why isn't the set timeout working? That's interesting. So why isn't the thumbnail getting removed after? What's actually happening here in the DOM? So it would be So is that class getting added? Oh, wait a second. Did I do this wrong? Is that why? Okay, so that did work. That did work. Hang on, I want to see this. Okay, so we are going to have to absolutely position it, which is completely fine. Completely fine. So this is going to work. We just have to transition. Did it actually add that class? Yes, it did. Okay, cool. So these need to be positioned absolutely to the container, which is completely fine because our container is already position relative. So we need our image to be position absolute. And I think we can just do inset 0. And that will take care of that. So let's give this a z index of 0. We'll give this a z index. We want the image to be 2 because we want it to be over top of the iframe until it's removed. And then we'll give this position absolute. Also, we'll say inset 0 and we'll say z index 1. So it sits just behind. So let's see. We'll see if that works. Oh, and our button is also going to need right here. So this will have to be z index 3. I really don't want to get into a battle of the z indexes, but I think we're okay. Yes. All right. Yes. Okay. So now we're adding this class, right? Well, it's already gone, but it'll be there long enough to do a fade. So the class is YouTube fade, and that's getting added to our image, which is the YouTube thumb. So I think we can, let's actually update this to YouTube thumb. So this, now we'll do YouTube thumb with YouTube fade. So we're going to do opacity 1, which is full opacity. And then we'll fade this down to opacity 0. That's going to be our nice little transition. And then we'll do transition, opacity. We'll do 300 milliseconds, ease in out. So this timing will be slightly faster than the set timeout, and I think that's what's going to give us our nice fade. This is my theory. So let's see. What? We did that. I don't know. Is there an easier way to do this? This is the only way I could think of to do it. And I don't even think it was that. I don't think it's overly hard or complex. So I think that we should match the timing because you can clearly see that the opacity is gone before the image gets removed. Yes. Well, I'm going to get some views on this video. What do we think? I freaking love it. I freaking love it. I've wondered for such a long time how to do this. I mean, clearly I just never sat down to figure it out until now, but I love it. Okay, let's make sure that this is keyboard accessible. Should be. I think it'll be. Okay, so I'm going to tap. We'll go skip to content. Our button is the first thing. Hit enter. And then what happens? I can tab within the YouTube iframe. I mean, I don't have any control over what happens inside the iframe, but I can tab into the iframe. So you can see there that I can hit enter or I can hit spacebar to pause and play. So beautiful. Okay, so now we're going to put this on our button counter page and our character count page. So let's do that. So styles, check. JavaScript, done. This makes me feel so confident after the last couple of days. So, and Osloy says, looks slick. Thank you. Thank you. I do say so myself. This just gives me so much confidence after the last couple of days. Let's update our remove thumbnail after 500 milliseconds. Append the iframe to the container. Add class to thumbnail for transition. Remove play button immediately to prevent extra clicks. This is pretty thorough, I think. Okay, so let's make sure. Yeah, I love it. Okay, so here's our module. So I do want my entire section to go onto, we'll do it on the, we'll do it here on our day two. Well, it's actually, it would be the day, it's the home page is the day one page. So here's our home page. Let's go down here. And I'm going to put it after the UI element and before the HTML. So we'll put it right here. And we'll say, watch the video of this module being built. So now we just need to replace our ID and our title. So let's grab that from YouTube. So that's the button counter. In this video. So here's my ID. And then I just need the title for the fig caption. And honestly, we should test this without the fig caption. Are we, didn't even think of that. We're probably gonna want to put in some fallback, right? Yeah, we're gonna want to put in a fallback. That's good. Okay, so the fig cap text, because that, or we could just remove that element if there's no if there's no title, let's just remove the element. Else, so if there's fig caption, can I just do, can I do fig cap remove? And just remove it? Well, let's test this first. So here's our day 17. Here's our home page. Watch the video of the button counter being built. Oh, and we have to actually add the JavaScript to the page. Well, that's good, right? Our fallback. Here's our fallback. See, now this makes me feel like the error message might be a good idea, right? Yeah, I'm not going to worry about it. Script. Type equals module. Source equals components. We want load videos. And I need to take some time to organize my modules. So this is not going to be the final result. There it is. See, now I'm wondering if we should have a big red button. But let's see what happens. In this video, I'm building a button counter with increment and decrement using JavaScript. This is a part of my practice series called 30 Days of Vanilla. In this video, I'm building a button counter with increment and decrement. Yeah. Let's make the play button red. I think that makes sense. And let's actually see how it goes without. See, technically it was already red from the global styles, but I'm just going to put in red. Okay, so let's see what happens if we don't have a fig caption. Just comment that out. Yeah, okay, so not having the fig caption breaks things. Oh, we probably, yeah, we can't remove it, can we? We could just do hidden. Let's do that instead. Instead of removing it, let's just do hidden. Equals true. That's not working. What's going on? Null setting hidden. Do I have to do else if? Or do I just have to do set attribute? Okay, we can do set attribute. What is happening here? Oh, well, it's because it's commented out. That's why. So it already doesn't exist. Yeah, it already doesn't exist. Got it. So we're just checking to make sure that everything works without it, which basically means we need to check the iframe. So we'll click on the iframe. YouTube video player. Same with the image alt text, right? It would just be YouTube thumbnail image. Okay, so our fallbacks are working. So if the fig caption doesn't exist, there doesn't need to be a fallback here. Those are already taken care of. And then if the fig caption does exist, now we have the appropriate alt text and we have the appropriate title. Thumbs up. Okay, so let's add this now to our other page. So every single page on this site, once I get done editing these videos, will have the project video. Okay, so now we're going to do the character count, and then we will commit this and get everything pushed up. Okay, so I'm going to copy this section over to day 2. And we're going to put it right here. I'm going to put it right before the HTML. Watch the video of the text area. What is this? What's it called? This is the text area character count. Text area count being built. And then let's get the ID. And then let's make sure that this is getting loaded. This is load video. This is my favorite project. Out of everything that we've done so far, this right here is my absolute favorite. One moment. All right. Awesome. Okay. Okay. So cool. Let's make sure, let's go back to our day 17. I want to get the code in here. while I get that pulled up. We have to have, going to get a little help from ChatGPT formatting for Prism. So here's day 2, good to go. Here's our styles, good to go. Here's our homepage, good to go. So this right here, I want formatted. Please format this markup. So here's our HTML. We need pre-code language markup. And then here's our JavaScript. We need pre-code language JavaScript. Please format this JavaScript. Here's our video. Here's our HTML. Might be good to put some comments in the markup as well. I'll go back and do that. And then here's our JavaScript. I should say, if no fig caption, just skip it. I should just say, if no, no, I should just say, use the fig caption. No, I don't think I need to change anything there. I have to try not to overthink my comments. Do you know how many times over the last 13 years I could have used this in things that I built? And I just had no idea how to do it, and I never took the time to sit down and figure it out. How wild is that? I mean, I'm literally like going through a catalog in my mind of all the places that I've worked, all the websites I've worked on, all the tasks that I've been given related to videos, where I could have easily implemented this if I had just understood some basic things about click events, creating elements, getting, you know, a data attribute. Isn't that wild? I think that's wild. This is the exact type of JavaScript that I love doing. This right here, this type of functionality. I love this so much. So this is my #1 favorite. This and the GDPR cookie consent banner. I like the social sharing links too, but I think this is #1. I think the cookie consent banner is #2. The social sharing links is #3. Those are my top 3 things so far that I absolutely love making as part of this project. I even got the fade right. Stop it. Just one more time. Just let me see it one more time. I can't. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and get our work committed and deployed. I'm going to do the deployment first. Okay, so we want components, day 2, day 17, images, SVG, index, and style. That's a lot. That's a lot to remember. So we need components, day 2, day 17, images. I have to add this to the UI components page. We need the home page. We need styles. We need SVGs. Go ahead and commit. Markup styles and JS for load video. All right, let's turn off live server. We'll check our live site. Oh, I can already see it. In this video, I'm building a button counter with increment and decrement. That's a good fade. That's a good fade. Right? It's pretty smooth. Right? I think so. I mean, we could slow it down even more, but I don't think we need to. Just one more time. One more time. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I need to get my components page up to date here, so I'll work on that. I did build a bunch more pages this morning, so I'm a little worried about tomorrow. I thought that, I mean, logically it made sense to, because we're off by about a day, which is honestly not that big of a deal. But logically, it made sense to me that we could do data fetch and render and transforming API data tomorrow in the same day. And I think that's possible for the most part. But while I was prepping these pages, it's really the transforming API data. I have something very specific that I want to do. It's the first task where I really had to transform data before I could build the component. And it was like the first big one that I did, it was like 5 years ago. So I kind of had to dig back in my archive and find that code. And so I'm going to be referencing that code. And it is complex. It's a little bit complex. I think it's doable, but I want to prepare us for the fact that it could spill into, that could also spill into a day two if we don't all get it done tomorrow. What I don't want to have happen really on anything moving forward is that I don't want another sorting table thing to happen where I'm so caught off guard by the fact that I don't know what to do that I spend 2 days just being frustrated and like swearing and yelling at ChatGPT. That's not what I want. So I want to be realistic about the fact that some of the things coming up here are going to be complex, and I honestly don't know how to do it. And things went from very simple to very complex really, really fast. And I'm trying to figure that out. So we're just going to take these next few days as they come. And if they spill into a day two or a part two or a part three, so be it. Who cares? It literally does not matter. And then on April 30th, if we're still working on things, fine. We'll go into May and we'll continue to work on things. I'm not going to be streaming every single day. On May 1st, we're going back to the 4 days a week schedule, but we're just going to get it done when we get it done. Because the most important part is that people come to this site and they see 30 projects, 30 days, and they see 30 completed projects, right? That's the most important thing. Yeah, so I'm nervous about tomorrow. But we'll see how it goes. I think it'll be okay. So there's that. Okay. This is a good one. I really enjoyed this. If you needed a reminder, this is the 30 days of vanilla JavaScript. Today was technically day 17, even though it's day 18, April 18th. So come back tomorrow. And hey, do me a favor if you haven't yet, would you be so kind as to like this video? Helps the algorithm, helps get this pushed out to people who might be interested in this type of content. Subscribe if you aren't already. I'm normally here when I'm not doing a 30-day sprint. I'm normally here Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So there's that. Come back tomorrow. We're going to work on API stuff. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with me. I just loved this so much today. I can't even describe how much I loved this. Come back tomorrow. We'll go back to working on the scary stuff. Have a great rest of your day wherever you are. Bye-bye.